Welcome to another episode of the Love It Reality Podcast. I am your host, Ricky Valero. On today's episode, we are going to dive headfirst into the Love is Blind Season 6 finale. The weddings have arrived. This has been one of the craziest seasons of Love is Blind yet, on and off the screen. Obviously, in those first few episodes, we saw Trevor become America's favorite sweetheart after Chelsea picked Chelsea picked Jimmy over Trevor, and Trevor was America's sweetheart, only to be thrown to the wayside because of some past some rumors that he was dating somebody, and when he came back, he told her all about it. And he went on the show with somebody. The guy's been on Perfect Match. All of these crazy things happened with him. We've heard stories about Amber was dating somebody else. She's challenged that, said she wasn't dating anybody. Apparently Jeremy was engaged when he went on the show, and then Jeremy rebuked that. It's been a wild and crazy season. We had a breakup early on after we got back from Mexico between Kenneth and Brittany, which was out of complete left field. It was said. Now, I don't know whether or not to believe it. Obviously, you're just hearing what Jess says. Just what Jess was on the Vial Files, which I highly recommend checking it out if you did watch it. She did say on there that the Kenneth and Brittany thing unfolded like this. She said that they had not an argument, they had a conversation earlier in the day off camera talking about how things weren't just going to work, that they was veering towards them becoming friends. And because of that, they decided that they were going to go their separate ways. However, since the producers didn't catch it on camera, that they had to refilm it, and that's why Kenneth was kind of disoriented and kind of disjointed from the conversation, disinterested in that conversation, that back and forth with Brittany. How true is it? Not 100% sure, just knowing and going off of what Jess said. And then, of course, last week we had our second couple bite the dust with Jeremy and Laura. Jeremy stayed out till 5:30 in the morning with his pod crush, Sarah Ann. And then, of course, Laura and Jeremy got into it big time. We saw Laura give Jeremy the business. On social media, if you've noticed, there's a picture that came out with Jeremy and Sarah Ann very recently together. So maybe those two are still together. However, on top of that, Sarah Ann if you follow her on Instagram and social media and TikTok and stuff like that, she has embraced this villain role, which is pretty crazy to see. It'll be interesting to see. Like I said, 1 week from tonight is the reunion, 9 p.m. Wednesday, March 13th, I think it is the reunion show. I will be live. We're going to do a live show post-reunion. I hope you check us out over on the YouTube channel. Without further ado, we have three couples left: Johnny, Amy, Clay, and AD, Jimmy and Chelsea. Who's going to say yes at the altar? Who's going to say no? Will we have any couples get married? Let's go ahead and dive right into this episode. We kick off with the rockiest of the three couples, in my opinion, Chelsea and Jimmy. They're picking up their chat with him questioning her head and where she's at on the marriage. She said it's been a roller coaster of emotions. However, she said it's been a roller coaster of emotions. She said she's trying to see if she can move forward in this marriage. She said, right now, I can. She says, I know we can handle conflict, but she sees him as being a great husband and a great dad. She said, I was having an off day. She said, today feels more confident and securing moving forward. Now, again, if you remember in this scene, there's been several times where they have these conversations where it's like she asked for that reassurance in their relationship. Now, a lot of things have happened between these two that has been good and bad on both sides of things. I think there's a lot of things we didn't see. I believe that Jimmy got a very, very favorable edit here. If we're going to talk about anybody, Jimmy claimed that Jess got the great edit. If we're going to claim anybody got a good edit, I think Jimmy did, because I'm not saying Chelsea's been perfect. She hasn't. She's kind of been overbearing, but I think a lot of past issues and even things we're not seeing unfold with Jimmy. But he says he wants to make it work, but he can't go to the altar. Can't. Like, what the fuck just happened? He said the other day, and he harps about her saying that Amy and Johnny were the perfect couple. What? Like that? He's just like one of the things. Like, that's the thing that you're gonna blame this on? Pretty crazy. Obviously, they've had a lot of other rocky moments. He is set on not going to the altar. She said, I don't think you were trying to get married. She said, we were just picking songs and you wasted her time. She said, I feel like he knew all along that he wouldn't say yes. She said, you are saying I love you, but not enough. He said he was so optimistic. He said, it's the greatest thing he's ever done. He said before the argument, he was so set on everything. She said, I can't tell you, I could tell you what, you hurt my feelings because she got upset. He said there's 5 or 6 big issues that hurt his feelings. He told her about the BFF having sex and threw it in her face. She said it made her uncomfortable. I get it. Even Jess talked about this on the podcast. She said that one of the biggest things that she couldn't see past was the relationship he had with this friend. She said he didn't reveal that they had sex or had slept together in the past, but she got that vibe, that intuition that told her that's exactly what happened. And her intuition was correct there in saying that. She said that would have been a deal breaker. I'm sorry, but if you're getting ready to be in a relationship with get married and all these things, and that becomes an issue, that means there's some underlying feelings potentially still there if you're not willing to break it off for this person or anybody at all. He called it, and then of course he called her out for the ex-boyfriend. She shut that down. Jimmy's just trying to find every which way possible to kind of really throw this back in her face. He said he was trying to protect her. He said he can't fathom marrying her after that fight. And then he said he didn't tell her he didn't he said she didn't tell him the deepest darkest secret. She said your deepest darkest secret was fucking your best friend. He got mad again. I'm sorry. Look, my thing is this. We saw the writing on the wall with these two early on whenever they like met each other, right? So I do feel like there's a part of stringing the long process. Now both of them have been hot and cold, hot and cold, hot and cold. But why drag it out this long? Jeremy and Laura, they didn't make it to the altar. You didn't have to make it to the altar. And obviously these two didn't either. They didn't make it to the altar, but you made it to that final step the day before you're supposed to walk down the aisle. And here we are. It's pretty crazy. I don't know. So we're only down to 2. It's a bachelor party time for just 2 people, Amy and AD. She said it's weird. Listen, I hate whenever they say this is the last night of me being single. I get what you're saying. I get it. But you're engaged. You're not single. You know what I mean? Maybe it's your last day being a engaged woman or a not locked down. You know what I mean? Clay and Johnny will get a little bit of a toast. They got some t-shirts that say groomed to be on them. Clay and Johnny said that there are others have their shake their ass outfits on. Amy tells AD they aren't having sex. She said you're going to drive the car without test driving the car. AD says she is too spicy. She's fucking that man. She ain't buying a car without test driving it. Amy says she's 2% scared but feels 98% confident. I love that. Clay said the sex is good, the chemistry is good, best friend vibes. He said he said a bunch of nice things about AD. He said he would go to war for AD and she would for him. He has flaws and she is comfortable with them. You know what? I've really come around on Clay. I really feel like his arc has really been there this entire time. I've seen a lot of improvements in his character from who we saw from day one. However, there was still that lingering thing where he questioned whether or not he was going to be able to go through with this wedding. It's wedding day for AD and Clay. AD is excited as it is their wedding day. We get a montage of these two. Obviously, get that big old montage. Clay has arrived. He said he's ready for the big decision. Clay's brother and his friend have arrived. AD's mom has arrived. She's all teared up and meets Clay's mom. They've had a great time together. Clay's mom talked AD up, and she's happy she will be her mother-in-law. AD said Clay will be a good daddy, as she is, and he's a good protector and provider. Clay said he is at peace with the man he has become in the process. Clay's dad, Travis, has arrived, and he helps him out with his tux on. Sweet moment. He puts his dad's watch on. He gives him such a sweet speech here. He says, treat your wife well, be good to your kids. A very, very heartwarming, sweet moment. I just love the dad and son moments, and even them not having that great relationship. It was such a great moment, regardless. He said his father used to cheat. Now this is the dad side of this. He said his father used to take him with him to cheat on his mom, which is pretty crazy. He asked his mom how he feels about his name being up there, and she said shocked. She said, no matter what you say, I'm here for you. Just the inkling number one of the potential, withering. What are we going to say? What are we going to do here? She keeps talking. He cuts her off. It's time to go. they're getting ready to walk down the aisle. Clay is like shaking horribly. He's very, very nervous. Here she comes. They're glowing at each other. AD just looks absolutely stunning walking down that aisle, just absolutely breathtaking walking down that aisle. Um, and so, look, I'll say this: I'm not saying it's 100% true, but I'm just saying sometimes I feel like he gives compliments just so that he can get one in return. It might not be 100% accurate, but that's a vibe that I get. Okay. Clay makes fun of the sight unseen. He said he struggled with that. He said he's become a better man because of her. He says a bunch of stuff, shouts her out. Clay says a bunch of, they say, they say nice things in return. She says, I do. And Clay says, I love you, but I don't think it's responsible for me to say I do. And he wants her to know he's rocking with her. He said he's not 100% in. He said he's going to put in the work. He says, I'm not fully in for marriage. He said, I appreciate you. She said, what the fuck? He said, I'm sorry. She said, Clay, and what the fuck? He said, why does it matter? She said, don't do that. She looked at her family and said, we good? She hugs his mama on the way out. Honestly, there was like I was like 70-30 to the point now where I thought these two were going to say yes at the altar together. And it kind of surprised me to say that in a way, like I heard the inklings and I should have stuck with my gut here. I should have stuck with my gut saying these three should have gotten married, right? Or I mean, they weren't going to get married. Sorry, bubbling my words here. I felt like it was not going to happen for a long time, and then these last two episodes, I was like, you know what? I think it's going to happen. And then I just about face here. She said he wasted my fucking time. She said she is so confused. She's heartbroken. She said she didn't see this one coming. His mama said, I want to be crystal clear. She said you don't need to be forced to say I do. And if you're on 100% in your heart, then don't say it, which I do give him credit for that. AD says she's never enough. She loves Clay. And someone said he thought it was Clay and he fucked it over. Clay said he feels good about his decision. His father and mother support him. Clay said he blew off the finances and other stuff. He said he looked in the mirror and wasn't deeply in love. Wow. That hits hard. I'm sorry, but he said he blew off the finances and other stuff, and he said he looked in the mirror and wasn't deeply in love. Those are some choice words. Those aren't easy words to swallow. Those aren't easy pills to swallow there. He talks to AD, said it was a game time decision. Clay said he struggled and it was irresponsible for him to say yes and wouldn't want him to half-ass saying yes. He said he couldn't say yes after 2 weeks. He said saying no to her was because he wasn't ready. He said, I'm not rejecting you. He said, can I get a hug? She said, sure. She said, I love you. He said, I love you too. She said, what am I supposed to do? He said, do you think I'm leaving? He started, stop being so sad. He said he's going to put in the work. This is the thing. And when he said this a few weeks back, he said, what about, if we say no type of situation? She's like, no, if you say no, it's a wrap. Like it's gonzo, like finish. And he just was like, I'm going to say no. And when I say no, it's not going to be a big deal. And she was like, how about that? But his mom talks to his dad, and this was really like insane to me. And I loved every bit of it. His mom talks to his dad. He struggles with the marriage. He said he took that from his father. She wants him to talk to his son and needs to apologize and not make any excuses for that. She gives him the business in a way that most parents don't ever like have that moment to be able to look back on their relationship and help their future children along the way. There's a lot of hurt within Clay. Maybe Clay doesn't feel like he's worthy of this, of this wedding, or maybe he thinks he's going to fuck up like his dad did. Such a beautiful and powerful moment. He said he breaks it down a little. He said he didn't have the best role models in his life. She said there are things that she didn't know that came out of this and didn't know. He told her those things. You met me, but you weren't good to me. Like that. This was the deepest conversation I've ever seen this show. Like this was powerful, powerful moment. AD said, I did my best. She doesn't feel good enough. He said he got scared. She said she feels like a sacrifice and feels used for him to find himself. He asked if he can leave, and she said yes. She tells the camera she keeps getting close and carrying the relationship, and it's not enough. She doesn't know what to do. She said she loves him, but she is sad she wasn't enough for him to get it right. She said she isn't going to force him to pick me, and she is done. Whew. I'll tell you what, this was probably one of the most like emotional no's at the altar, that the aftermath of it, like the conversation with the mom and dad, was just incredible here. We have like 10 minutes remaining in the show, and we got Johnny and Amy. You know what I mean? Like, that's all we got. Like, hey guys, oh, who cares about the happy couple? You know what I mean? Amy's parents arrive. I love her family has showed up. Her father asks if she's confident in her decision. She says yes. He said, then we were right behind you. It's like y'all got your shit together. We give you 10 minutes to say I do. It's like, could this be the second year in a row one couple says I do, or first time ever nobody says I do? Like, that was going through my head through this process. Like, is it possible that there was a fight that we didn't see? You know what I mean? There's been plenty of those in the past. She walks in her dress and her dad loses it. Again, this was such a strong like year for parents. Like, if I remember correctly, Jeremy's mom gave him the business. We've seen good conversations with Clay and his mama, AD and her mama, and then AD, Clay's mama, and Clay. Like, it's been strong. But her dad, Amy's dad, is the sweetest human being in the entire universe. I just love him. Her parents talk about how they will be here for her and for John. He said, I was reserved about the experiment, but it changed my mind when I saw how happy you were and the way Johnny looked at you. I wanted a man to look at you the same way that I looked at you. My God, like, I was just, tears were coming down. Just a sweet, somber moment. Um, it's wedding time. Amy isn't down the aisle yet, and she's kind of already crying. Her dad was too. Her brother was there to walk her down the aisle. Like, this was just a beautiful moment. Like, just like thinking about it right now with my taking my notes. She said Johnny's my person. Um, Personally, I feel like this is like top 3 wedding, I think, in the history of Love is Blind. Like, truly, like truly, truly, truly. Just the way they look at each other, I love them. And then her dad and brother hug Johnny together. He said she looks gorgeous. They took a moment to honor those who couldn't make it. Again, more tears. Insert them saying a bunch of lovey-dovey things to each other. She said, of all the sweet things, she said all these sweet things and said, I can't wait. I love the dramatic, will you get married or will you walk away forever, for like no reason at all. It's just hilarious to me how will they be married? Sight unseen. And it's like, whoa, calm down, guys. Of course, Amy says I do. Johnny says I do. We love to see it. They kiss. So 2 years in a row, we only get one wedding, which is pretty insane. These two are cute. And then, of course, we get a little bit of a montage of Clay saying he wants love and wants to be married. He said his emotions are all over the place. He said he didn't understand the magnitude of his decision and feels stupid. He just wants to get out of here. She said she doesn't regret saying yeah. AD says she doesn't regret saying yes because love is blind. Nothing she could have showed or done to change her answer. She said, I don't see myself continuing to date him. Her heart is broken. Then, of course, we move back to our lovebirds who share a loving, warm moment with the family. And that is it for season 6 of Love is Blind. One couple, Johnny and Amy. And I'll be honest with you, I love these two. Also, I want to say something real quick. I keep on meaning to talk about this at the beginning of the episode. If you make it this far, I am thinking about doing a Love is Blind rewatch, going back in time and rewatching season 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 across the way. And then in doing so, what I'm hoping to do is then, obviously, when I'm done, have like a ranking of the best couples, best weddings, best this, best dresses, best all of that. So let me know what you guys think of that. But this is it. 1 week, March 16th, March 13th. What March? Hang on a second, guys. Sorry here. Give me a second. I'm gonna get it right one of these times. March 13th, 9 p.m. Eastern. The Love is Blind reunion is going to happen. I've heard some things about it. It's really, really going to be some fireworky. I also think that it could be a little bit boring, but I've heard some things that happened. Very interested to see how everybody reacts to that. Will we see some new couples? What will be talked about? What's going to be said? We know some of the people that are going to be there. Very excited to hear all about that. But folks, thank you guys so much for joining me in this journey. Remember, next week, as soon as the show goes off there, 10 p.m. Eastern, I will be live on YouTube discussing the reunion. Very, very excited to talk about it. Very, very excited to see it. Very, very excited for you guys to listen to my recap. Thank you guys for the continued support. I'll talk to you guys next week.